Welcome to Sink or Swim, presented by Squid Group, your digital marketing partner. In this podcast, we talk to Nico De Jong, one of New Zealand's leading intellectual property lawyers, about trademarks. From trademarks on business names to colours and even smells, we cover everything you need to know about trademarks for your business in New Zealand or overseas. Hope you enjoy it. It's so nice of you to have got a pencil moustache just for this.
Yeah, I thought I'd rise to the occasion when you've been doing it for a while, and I just like the look of it, and I feel like more people should do it.
That's good. I do think a pencil moustache is the future for a lot of people. I think it really does change business and the way that you can do business, so it's good to see you've embraced it.
I think it just makes business more fun. You know, sometimes we take ourselves a bit too seriously, and you obviously don't, but some people do.
So, do you want to maybe kick things off with what trademarks are and like why I guess it's even important to have a trademark? Sure.
So everyone has a trademark, mainly sort of business names, company names, what you call products, etc. They're all trademarks. So what you're doing when you apply or try to register a trademark is basically saying, hey, I use this name mostly. We can talk about the other variations of what trademarks are, but I use this name and I want exclusive rights to use it for these particular goods or services that I'm providing. So you as Squid would say, we use the name Squid, we use this little S thing, I want to protect them as trademarks for the services we provide so no one else can use them. And so names are the obvious kind of thing. There's logos, there's colors, there's sounds. Sounds, for example, the sound of the what's the movie? You know that when a movie starts.
Like the with the lion and stuff.
Yeah. Well, that might be even a different one, but
yeah, that's
registered as a trademark for this business that says when you hear that sound, you think of us. You don't need any kind of name or anything. You know it's us. Some tennis ball manufacturer has registered for the smell when you open a tennis ball container thing. You know that smell.
Really?
And that's meant to be like associated with their tennis balls for whatever reason. So those types of trademarks are quite rare, but they are trademarks because again, it's signifying you're trying to say that you own this particular thing for this whatever you're offering, and others shouldn't be able to do that or to have that right. So trademarks and names vary from something like Squid that doesn't mean anything. It's a very good trademark because it doesn't mean anything in relation to the services you provide. Like if you were selling Squid, you couldn't register Squid for a trademark because other people want to use the word Squid to describe what they provide. But it works very well in your area through to something that would be more generic, like digital marketing expert or something, which you can't register as a trademark because you can't show to the trademarks office that you're known as that to the exclusion of others. That's kind of how it works, and it's a bit of a scale, and there's everything in between. So and to register, all you're really doing is filing an application with the trademarks office for your trademark, specifying the goods or services you want to protect, and then the trademarks office looks at it and says, is this something that can be registered? Is there anything similar already out there on the trademarks register? And otherwise they'll let you have it. And I often look at it as kind of like an insurance policy. Like it's something you might never need, but if you don't have it and you do need it, you'll wish you'd done it, if that makes sense. And sometimes I get a bit of pushback from people saying, why I'm never going to enforce my trademark, so why do I need this? And then there are a lot of practical examples where it's useful to have a trademark registration. For example, if you've got a great product and it goes really well, and then your competitor knows that, and they try and leech in on business or traffic, website traffic that's meant for you. They type into Google, a customer or potential customer types into Google your brand name, and it takes them to the competitor, and they think they're gone to you, then that's obviously a problem. And if you've got a trademark, you can file a complaint with the likes of Google to say, hey, we've got the rights to this, these people shouldn't be doing it. And more often than not, they stop that. And that's a free process, but it's very effective. And there are other tools like that make it very useful to have a trademark. If you don't have the trademark, you won't be able to deal with that kind of thing. And then if you're trying to deal with it for things that are happening now, you're going to have to wait for at least 6 months till you get your trademark. So it's the short of it, it's better to do it earlier rather than later.
So how does it work with brands wanting to, we talked about sounds, but with things like colours like Cadbury and the likes?
Yeah, so colours are quite interesting because, again, if we go back to what a trademark is, it's meant to tell people the source of the trademark. So with Cadbury, they were able to register the colour purple in relation to chocolate bars. So what that's saying is they're able to convince the Trademarks Office that people seeing the colour purple in connection with chocolate think of Cadbury, or that's what they regardless of the word or anything. So if I just showed you a colour, an unbranded as such chocolate bar that was purple, and said, where is that from? It's from Cadbury. So, and that's a really high hurdle. Like for something, like Loft Legal, we use the colour green in our branding. If I showed the colour green to someone and said, what law firm uses this, they're not going to know it's us. So it's more of a product offering, but it can be specific. So the likes of it was Shell, but Z, but even BP have shown the colour green as applied to a service station as BP. We see a service station that's green, we think it's BP, which kind of makes sense. But you have to, like, if you followed the colour purple or whatever colour, the Trademarks Office would reject it and say, well, why should we give you these exclusive rights to use the colour purple in relation to chocolate or whatever? You've got to show that that's what consumers think, and that can be a really high hurdle. So one example I was involved with was the Stihl chainsaws. So they were having a problem with people importing fake Stihl chainsaws. They weren't using the word Stihl, so we couldn't do anything about trademark infringement in relation to the name. But it looked like a Stihl chainsaw. It just didn't have the name on it. So one of the things we did was to apply to register the colour combination of the orange and it's kind of a light grey combination as applied to chainsaws, and we're able to convince the Trademarks Office that people seeing those colours on chainsaws knew it was a Stihl chainsaw. And then what you can do with any trademark or copyright work, but in the context of trademarks, is register a notice with customs that tells customs, hey, we own this trademark, and in this case it was the colours for this particular thing. Please stop things coming into the country with that trademark on it. And they're not going to stop everything, but it can really help. So they're then looking out for those kinds of things. You can even tell them who you might think is going to import them. So it can be quite useful to stop things coming in at the border. And in that case, that's how it worked with the chainsaws.
Cool. It's I don't even know what to say to you, mate. But I feel like that was some juicy content there. So thank you.
Well, it's kind of interesting. The color thing is interesting. It's really hard to get because you got to show yeah, it's hard to separate a brand's name from the color. So like you might think you associate a company with a color, but if you don't see the name with it, then you might not. So yeah, but it's just one example of these different types of trademarks where you're kind of thinking out of the box, and they're mostly to deal with counterfeit type products where it's quite rife. Like another example of in the fashion industry is, I can't remember the name of the brand, but they have a red sole. It's a high-end woman's high heel, and so they have tried, and in some cases been successful, but often not, to register a shoe with a red sole. So basically any shoe that has a red sole would infringe, any high heel shoe that had a red sole will infringe that trademark. And as I said, they've had mixed success with that, but it is one of those things that makes you think about attacking things from different angles to deal with different types of issues. And most of the time that's not going to be a problem for a small business that doesn't have that kind of reach or money to spend on that kind of thing, but it is something that you can consider at least.
Yeah, I guess it's all just a matter of deciding what battles are worth fighting, right? And what's actually really important to you. So yeah, it's kind of hard to know that until you've actually started out. Obviously, an established brand like Still, you do think of the colour orange primarily.
Another example is the red tab on Levi's jeans.
Oh, yeah.
Which you, as a consumer, walking around, you see a red tab, you probably think they're Levi's, or that's what Levi's would say anyway. So it's kind of, with things like that where you can't see the brand, it's creating something that, is like brand recognition or whatever.
It's almost creating like a marketing angle for your asset and what makes you unique, right?
Yeah.
And that also does come down to you positioning your brand at the very outset and knowing what things are going to be consistent throughout your, whether it's product design, your logo design, whatever else it is. But like the Levi's one, that's classic. Like you do think of Levi's if you see it on a pair of jeans, but you wouldn't think of Levi's as a brand with the color blue denim and red and white. Yeah. Unless it was in that situation.
Yeah. Yeah, and it is something to consider as you're talking about with that brand recognition, positioning, what you actually want out of it. If you're focused on if the product you're creating is something that's fairly generic or at least not unique, but you can create that recognition through color over time, then that's going to be quite important, because people can still sell the same kind of product, but if they can't use that color, then you're always going to have that distinguishing feature, as in this is the original thing that you should go for.
Cool. Well, thanks for talking trademarks.
I love trademarks.
You love a trademark.
Thanks for tuning in to another Squid Group podcast. If you're looking for a marketing partner to grow your brand, business, or event, contact us here at Squid Group. See you next time.